Alright, so today we're going to look at multiplying fractions and mixed numbers. Our steps here. The first thing you always want to do is make sure it's in fraction form. And when I say that, fractions are obviously always in fraction form, but whole numbers we need to make into fractions, or mixed numbers we need to make into fractions. Second thing you want to do is try and simplify, and it's not always going to happen, but sometimes it is. We'll look at that, and it just makes the problem a little bit simpler to do. And then third thing would be to multiply straight across. So if we're looking at problems, let's say we have negative 1/3 times a negative 9/19. Alright, so the first thing, fraction form, yes. Then simplify if possible. So if I look here, this 9 and this 3 can both be divided by 3. 3 goes into both of those. So 3 goes into 3 one time. 3 goes into 9 3 times. 1 times 3 makes 3. 1 times 19 is 19. A negative times a negative equals a positive, so it's a positive 3/19. Looking at another example, let's say negative 2 5/7 times let's say 14/17. So I notice a negative times a positive means my answer is ultimately going to be negative. And then this is not in fraction form, so I need to change it to fraction form. 2 times 7, there's 2 sets of 7 pieces plus 5 extra pieces. So that's going to be 19/7 times 14/17. And again, I know my answer is going to be negative. 14 and 7, I can divide both of those by 7. 7 goes into 7 one time. 7 goes into 14 two times. 19 times 2 is going to make 38. 1 times 17 is going to be 17. Then 17 is going to go into here 2 times, and it's a negative number. That's going to make 34. So there's 4 extra out of 17. And if you weren't sure, you could set it up like that and work it out. Going 2 times, 34, 4 left. And again, it's a negative answer. Other types of problem you're going to see. Maybe I'll have negative 1/3 to the 3rd power. Well, that would be negative 1/3 times negative 1/3 times negative 1/3. No simplifying here. A negative times a negative makes a positive, times a negative is going to be a negative. 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27 on the bottom, and 1's across the top. Alright, if I had a whole number, let's do one like that. Let's say negative 5 times a negative, 7/15. 5, make a whole number into a fraction. Just like Beyonce said, you put a 1 under it. Right, instead of putting a ring on it, we put a 1 under it. So I notice, okay, 5 and 15, I can divide both of those by 5. 5 goes into 15 3 times. 5 goes into 5 1 time. 1 times 7 is 7. 1 times 3 is 3. A negative times a negative makes a positive. 3 goes into 7 2 times. That makes 6. 3 times 2 is 6. So it takes 1 more piece to get to 7. And again, I could set it up like that. Alright, one last problem. So if I had negative 1 1/3 times 3/5 times negative 2.5 times negative 4/5. Alright, so with this problem, we want to make sure everything's in fraction form. So this is going to go down. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1 makes 4, so we have a negative 4/3. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5, negative 5/2. Now I have everything as a fraction, and I'm going to look to simplify. And this, if you don't simplify, you could get the same answer. You just have to simplify it at the end. Simplifying before makes my multiplying a little bit more simple. So I notice, oh, these are both 3s. 3 goes into these 1 time each. Oh, these are both 5s. 5 goes into these 1 time each. Oh, 2 goes into 2 once, and 2 goes into 4 2 times. Now it's a less daunting task. Negative 4 times 1 is negative 4, times a negative 1 is a positive 4, times a negative 2 is a negative 8. 1, 2, 3 negative signs mean my answer is going to be negative. 2 of those negative signs would make a positive, but then the third one would mean my answer ultimately has to be negative. 1 times 5 is 5, times 1 is 5, times 1 is 5. Negative 8/5, which 5 goes into 8 1 time, and it's a negative 1, and that would give me 5, so there's 3 left. Multiplying fractions and mixed numbers.